Welcome to your Daily 5 for Thursday, December 28th, 2023. I really tried to finish Assassin's Creed Mirage before our show recording for tomorrow, but I was not able to do it because I wanted to close out my review for it with this year and not go into next year with it because I knew I'd be done with it, but I just didn't have the time to make it happen. So this review, this short review will post before the end of the year, but my longer, I don't even know how much I'll talk about it. If I remember to talk about it on the show, well, that will be into next year. So I tried. Didn't make it, but that's okay. So I have finished Assassin's Creed Mirage, and I have, for all intents and purposes, 100%ed it, meaning I got every little side mission, did all the side contracts, completed all the main missions, upgraded all the equipment and tools and everything as far as they could go. So there may be some achievements that I haven't unlocked, some specific things that it wants you to do. I likely won't do them. This does not feel like a game where I need to do every single thing in it. But honestly, the most important part about this game is that I had an absolute blast with it. This game reminded me why I got into this series in the first place. It felt like a far more focused and streamlined version of a game series that I really liked and then somewhat kind of just got overwhelmed with, to be honest. Once I got to, I've said this a bunch of times already, so I know I'm repeating myself a bit. Once I got to Odyssey and I realized that I was spending hours riding around the countryside doing nothing because there just wasn't anything to do but ride around an empty countryside, I kind of checked out. And when they announced this game and said it was going to be more like the older ones, it was going to be more dialed back, focused, a shorter experience, this is exactly what I was hoping it would be. There's no reason that there can't be those bigger and more expansive games for people who want those. That's great. That's probably what they're going to do, is mainline entries and then smaller side stories like this. I think the only downside, at least based on my experience with Mirage, is Mirage definitely assumed that you knew about the main character already, and I believe he was in Valhalla, which I did not play. So I don't know everything about him, and the ending doesn't explain certain things, but honestly, on the other side of it, if you've played these games for as long as I have, and I've played them since the very first one, you can pretty much put together what's going on because it's still telling more or less the same type of story that they were earlier on. And not to spoil anything, but these games have always had an element of, oh, you're reliving a past life from some future person. And that is still present in Mirage. It's just that there's a lot less of it. It's really just at the... it's sprinkled throughout the experience here and there very, very lightly, and then the ending really leans into it, and then the game essentially ends. And again, I think it assumes that you know who the Basim character is, or Basim. I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce it, but I think it thinks you know who the character is, either through reading about it or having played Valhalla. Now, I did neither. And honestly, I didn't feel that lost. There were certainly things that I know it was alluding to that I'd never experienced from Valhalla, I guess. But I didn't really care. The experience was still fun. The game was still fun. It reminded me of the reason I got into this series, the earlier games, where it was really kind of it was a very specific type of game. And you really just went through it, and if you engaged with it, you liked it, and if you didn't, you didn't. It's as simple as that. And the games now are much different, at least the mainline games. And I think it's great that there's those games for people who want those really long, 100-plus hour, go over the map, get every single little thing experiences. And then there's going to be, I hope, games like this that are more for somebody like me who wants the gameplay, certainly enjoys what Assassin's Creed is, but does not want to spend months wandering all over the place doing everything. I think Mirage is a very good approach, or the way that Mirage was built. It's a very good supplement to those bigger games. And I think they're going to keep making those bigger games, at least until people stop buying them. But I also think there is a place for something like this, which is a more medium-sized game. Again, something that feels more like the first few were, where it didn't take you significant chunks of time to do everything in the game, or at least most of what the game had to offer. Mirage, as I said, I did most of what was in it. I feel like I experienced, if not everything, at 95% of it, and I had a great time. So I would love to see more games like this, focused on specific characters and maybe their origins or small kind of side stories just as their own games. I think there's definitely a way to do this in addition to those bigger and more expansive games. So again, my bottom line review on this is I had a great time with Assassin's Creed Mirage. If you've been at all interested, I don't think you'd regret picking it up. Later.